folks. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Chantal, you can hear me? Oh, okay. We're going to get started in a minute. All right. So we are streaming on YouTube. And then I want to talk about a couple of things that are interesting and things that you need to think about. I'm just looking at some news like I always do. Apple event, April 20th. I'll tell you something. You know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. But I'm reaching my limit with this, with the behavior of, forget it. I don't want to lose my job. All right. We have a 30-year bond auction. 30-year bond auction. Welcome to the trade room for 10-minute trades. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-minute trades. Please remember, all trades are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures. All right? It's possible. So this morning, I had a very interesting trade. I traded, I'm going to brag. I'm going to brag this morning. I traded gold and the NQ on CPI because our testing said that the NQ was safe. It's been safe for months. And our trading live showed last month and the month before that gold was good on CPI if the setup was correct. You had to have the right size bracket. And that's one of the things that had been hurting us for a while. And we finally got the bracket right. And, you know, the bracket just barely is big enough at 8 on CPI. And that trade's moving so much that you could make your bracket 10 and it's not going to take anything away from your trade. So in these markets, I'll say it 100 times, you're better off with a little bit bigger bracket if you're going to trade breakout trades, because it will keep you safer. You can, in some of the trades, you don't even have to shrink your targets because some of them are moving so well. If it's a trade where you know you have to be careful with targets because your testing shows that it's not moving as much as you'd like, then you have to shrink your target if you make your bracket too big. Or extra big. Too big is the wrong word. Extra big. Okay? So those are things you have to think about. But the biggest thing you have to think about is, what do you do in a situation like this where, what if this was my personal account, right? And I made $360 on my first trade this morning. I don't need much more than $360 a day. If I made $360 a day, I'd be a pretty happy trader, to be honest. You know, I'm at a certain point in my life where I don't need a ton of money. But everybody has different levels that they hit where they stop trading. I was never a big lover of stopping trading when you hit your target profit, because you might miss one of the best trades. You know, I would normally, and it's the same thing on the losing side. If I lost a lot of money and certain trades were coming up, I would still trade. That's the psychological difficulty. That's the psychological difficulty. Now, Fred says something really interesting. I agree with you. You better agree with me. But I have found that when trading is going well, then trade to cover when days don't give you trades. Fred, do you mean trading well, keep trading? Is that what you mean? Yeah. Now, so here's a really interesting issue about today's 30-year bond trade. First of all, a 3-tick bracket is okay by me. Yesterday, we got stopped out on the bond report because we used a 2-tick bracket, and I expressed prior to the trade that I was concerned about the bracket size. I will not in these current markets again trade a 2-tick bracket on a bond report. As sure as I'm alive and sitting here right now, and I don't care what the report says, okay? 3-tick brackets on bond reports. You might even want a 4-tick stop on today's report. You might. If you had a 4-tick stop on today's report, my track record says that back in January, and let me look and make sure that I'm not just blowing hot air here. In January, I lost, but I traded live, and a 4-tick stop would have survived because we got stopped to the tick. Stop to the tick. Okay, now that's a little bit unusual. I'm not going to change the stop today, but it's certainly on my mind that every report in the current markets needs to be looked at very seriously for every part of the settings. Here's the one thing that I like about today's report. It was stopped last month. Let's make sure that it was, because this report is extremely reliable. It doesn't often get stopped twice. Now, it might get stopped today. It could. No guarantees, right? There's no guarantees. But it gives us a little bit extra confidence because it usually doesn't stop out twice in a row. We all know anything can happen. We all know it. We know it. It's just part of life. But last month, I got filled and I got stopped immediately. It was not a win. Okay? It was not a win. It was far from a win. So the thing that I like is I'm trading today, especially because I was stopped last month. And this trade does not often stop twice in a row. Doesn't mean it's not going to, but last month, clearly a stop. Okay, and just not a very good move. Ooh, the month before, February, let's see what February did. I was down a little bit of money. Now, folks, if for some reason I don't show up for the API room, I want to massively apologize in advance. I have a doctor appointment right after this trade. I should be back. There should be no problem. But if there's no room, no email, no nothing, it's because the doctor was 800 hours late. But I cannot cancel the appointment. I have to go. You can't get appointments. It's like we're in a third world country these days. So February, there was an opportunity to get 1 tick, 2 ticks, and it got it. And then it stopped. I think it shoots back the opposite way and stops us out. Yes, it did. It's exactly what it did. And then did it keep moving in our direction? Yes, it did. So this is one of those tricky trades, right? It's one of these tricky trades where the way you deal with your stop is going to have a big effect on what happens in this trade. Mark, what do you think of that indicator, by the way? You don't have to talk about it or tell anyone about it yet. I just want to know what you think about it. How do you like it? I think it looks like something else I've seen totally before. It looks exactly like that previous one we were talking about also. And it looks exactly like the one from Indicator. What's the name of the company that gives you a free indicator every month? And they have some systems also. It was cheap. Ninjacators, right. Is that who I'm thinking? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, David. I was thinking of them. It looks a lot like their indicator, which is part of their. They had an old news trading software program that I've never seen them update in years. Are you saying the free one stopped working, Mark? The free news one that you just got? Or you wound up getting the paid one to start with? Now, let's look at December. The old free one. Yeah, the one you and I talked about. I remember. I'm just wondering, is this indicator, does it have enough value? That's the question. What's its value when we already know everything that the indicator's telling us? Do you know what I mean, Mark? That's my question about the value of the indicator. December, one day it would be really cool to update our software where the software, our software would be a calendar also. I think that would be really cool. December, let's see what happened in December. So I've got to trade the way that I would normally trade today if the report was stopped out last month. That's what I have to do, even if it means giving back most of my profit from this morning. Now, December was a very nice trade. It had a good move. I moved a little bit too close to the price too fast, okay? And I got away with it, but I still left money on the table in December. In some ways, the bond trades are like the API report. If it bursts, you probably should stay in and don't move your stop very close to the current price. And Mark, that's the feature that I loved about the indicator the best. It looked like investing.com, but I had a hard time figuring out why I would want to buy it. You follow me? Or why we would want to buy it. And that's why I'm not recommending it yet. I'm not sure it offers us anything that we're not getting for free without the indicator. I don't even think we need the indicator. That's my point. Because we know where to get the news. I think it's really good for people that don't have a clue about what news is coming out. So this report, the 30-year, has been reasonably solid. No, and Mark, I mean, I appreciate the sharing more than almost anything. I'm just discussing now. That's all. Just discussing the value. I never dreamed in my life that John Boehner, never mind. 7 minutes, we're 7 minutes in since I started recording. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to learn about what we're doing, subscribe to the channel because we stream 3 to 4 times a week and you can learn a lot by watching us. Stop bragging, Mark. Stop bragging. Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. So what I want you to do or think about it is one day when we have a trade, when conditions are perfect for the way that you like to trade, I would love for you to come in and be the guest moderator and teach everybody one of your signature trades. Think about it. You don't have to answer now. Think about it. If it's something you might be interested in, if it is, we can talk about it down the road. I think it would be a lot of fun. Like this morning looked like one of those mornings. Gold was trending up. It looked like a perfect, almost perfect. The trend was a little tricky, I thought, because it wasn't trending up at midnight. It started trending up later. And I agree, news didn't agree with the trend. But the NQ, right, the NQ did. And the interesting thing to teach would be how you're entering. I mean, that's always the key, how you're entering. Of course, the setup is important, but the setup, targets, how you're entering and stop size are the two most important things, I feel. But I mean, I would like to have guest moderators all the time. So if you got something that's working and it's different from what we're doing, and you think you want to teach it, send me an email at help@10minutetrades.com and maybe we'll do a guest spot. Yeah, Mark, I've only asked you like 5,000 times your setup. Yeah, I'm trying. I want tick strike. I think it would be very useful. I think it's a good way that helps you stay in the trade. All right, folks, 30-year bond setup, right? 30-year bond setup. One more time, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel and then hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're going to be here streaming. Well, I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, and I'm going to be streaming Thursday. Thank you, Chantal, so much. Do we need to talk about it? Because I don't know. I have to go out right after this. Wow, I forgot to. All right. 30-year bond. It was stopped last month. I like that. I'm using a bracket of 3. I'm using 2 contracts for 2 ticks and 1 contract for 6 ticks. Okay? Because those are our targets. 2 and 6. Our stop is 3. I think the stop in the future, we need to look at increasing it to 4. To 4. Chantal, is there a setup? I'm just wondering if it's similar to mine. Okay. Good. Good. The entry time, remember we use Eastern time, 13:01:30. Chantal, you just gave our setup to the whole world for free. 13:01:30. 13:01:30 is our entry time. Chantal just got fired. It's a breakout trade. ZB, trading for real. ZB 30-year note. All right, my setup, 2 positions for 2 ticks, 2 contracts, 1 contract for 6 ticks. It's a 60-second cancel. Entry time is 13:01:30. All right. It's a 60-second cancel. It's really the kind of trade you should wait until you hear if the news came out. That's how these bond reports need to be traded. And that means for us, we're using Financial Juice Pro. They're helping us because we can hear when the news came out in case investing.com gets it wrong. Mark, I don't think that indicator shows the news, does it? The news result, the second it comes out? I didn't think it did that. That's what we were talking about having the software do. And I've really got to just ask the programmer. I think it's a lot of programming. And you're a victim of what calendar, what data feed. It's got to be very expensive, Mark, because it means you've got to subscribe to a data feed that's probably very expensive. That's what I think also. All right, so let's check our sync time. So let me verify my setup one more time. Bracket of 3, 2 ticks, 2 positions for 2 ticks, 1 position for 6 ticks, a 3-tick stop. Entry time of 13:01:30. It's a breakout trade, and I have it labeled. Now we are profitable, $360 from this morning, which I have to admit was a very impressive trade. If I have to brag, it's the one day I get to brag, right? Dwayne Johnson would run for US president if people want him. God help us. The guy's a wrestler for crypt. Dwayne Johnson. What is wrong with our country? That we can't get like a normal person? Why don't we have Billie Eilish run for president? Billie Eilish. I mean, I love Dwayne Johnson. I love The Rock. But not for president. Ronald Reagan was an anomaly. An anomaly. And there's a lot of people that don't like a lot of things that he did. Somehow, and he also was governor before he became president. He didn't just come out of a cowboy movie and become the president. Right? The Rock as president. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? He goes to Putin, gives him the eye. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Maybe that's what we need. Oh my God. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? That's what he used to say, right? Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Who's his vice president going to be? The Undertaker? Yeah, The Undertaker. That'll be his vice president. I love The Rock. He probably could get elected. That's how messed up we are. It's not funny. That's what's not funny. The fact that we do not have a lot of healthy thinking, normal politicians. You're right, Mark. You're right. I'm not going to repeat that because we're on YouTube. But you're right. I'm not supposed to be talking politics, so I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop it. But, you know, it's difficult sometimes because I read the news feeds when I'm in the room. And, you know, when it comes up, Dwayne Johnson is would be the president. I mean, how can you not comment on that? You got to make a comment. It's impossible not to comment. It's just so outlandish. And politics do affect our markets, Jaquan. I agree. But my personal opinions are not going to affect our trades. And That's what I'm not allowed to get involved in. You know what I mean? It's true. Opinions move the markets, but not mine. My opinion doesn't do anything except get some people angry and some people agree. You know what I mean? There's a room that I used to go to. I'm not going to say who the person is that hosts the room. It's an NQ trading room. That's the only hint I'll give. And he is so fanatically in one direction politically that I can't believe some of the things that he says. I'm very shocked. Very shocked at what he says because it's all so one-sided. I would think that people that want to trade with him, some of them wouldn't be able to tolerate what he's saying. I mean, people know how I feel about most things. I'm a humanist. I'm absolutely pro-humanity. I mean, that's the way it is. That's me. I like people. I like to teach. I'm pro-humanity. But that doesn't mean I'm anti lots of things. But I'm definitely pro people. That's the truth. Pro people. And that means a lot of things have to change because there's a lot of laws that they're trying to pass that are anti-people. I don't care about people's private lives unless it's illegal. And when I say illegal, you know, sex trafficking is illegal, okay? But who you love is not, unless they're 5 years old, right? You understand what I'm saying. Pro people. That's what America should be. Pro people. Up with people. Remember that? Up with people. Let's watch. Now it's a 3-tick bracket. 60-second cancel. Come on. Okay. I chased a little bit, people. I chased a little bit. I broke my rule, right? I broke my rule. If it bursts, stay in. So I made $360, $312. I could have just sat. I should have sat and let it hit my target, and I would have made a little bit more. Okay. As it is, I made 312. Who else made money? YouTubers. You got to subscribe to the channel, right? You got to subscribe to the channel. Joshua, that was a good trade. It was a good trade. And you know why it was a good trade, Josh? Because it got stopped last month. This is looking at the history. And Josh, I know you're new, so you don't always think the way that I'm thinking. I'm looking at the history. I added an extra contract today. Good for you, Fred. We all got our money back from yesterday. Yeah, I have to. I have time. I don't have to rush out. I've got 15 minutes. We can enjoy. Look, we can learn not to jump out of this trade so fast, right? We don't have to jump out so fast because it would have hit our target and we could have been over 700. We could have been over 700 with one more tick. All right. Mark, good for you. Good for you. Sanji, good for you. Josh, I didn't even realize you were here. So you got all your brokerage stuff settled down, straightened away. It was a nice move, Chantal. But hey, Chantal, let's be honest. The bond reports, we're getting 2 out of 4 like this. That's why I'm saying bracket of 3 on all of them, stop of 4 on all of them. You don't want to get prematurely entered. You don't want to get prematurely stopped out either. And that's why reports have to be looked at regularly, not every 2 years, right? Reports have to be looked at every week. Okay, so Josh, you want to be careful because I worry that super fast trades will get you stopped out. So Fred, you want to know how superstitious I am? I don't want to ruin your day, Fred, but I'm superstitious about API because it had such an awesome trade last week. And it's had, it hardly, the thing about API, it's so solid that even when it's good, you just keep trading it. You keep trading it. Well, YouTube folks, I want to say thank you so much for watching. How about signing up for our channel if you liked? I made $312 in seconds. This morning, I made $360 in seconds. I'm up 672 today. We've had some rough days of trading, but you try to just hang in there and get it back. If you want to learn more about what we do, sign up for our channel. Absolutely. And hit the notification bell so you'll know that we're going to be streaming again tomorrow and the day after. And thank you all for watching. And Chantal, you know what to